Welcome to the Meeting Your Soul podcast. I'm Farah Seifert, your host, and I'm so grateful that you're here. This podcast was designed as a way for me to share my personal story, the challenges, the things that I've overcome in the pursuit of understanding myself on a deeper level. Also share tips and tools, things that have aided me in gaining that deeper understanding and to find trust within my intuition. I have a degree in psychology. I have years of teaching yoga experience, as well as more spiritual texts and books that you can possibly ever imagine that someone would voluntarily read, because it is a passion of mine and it's something that I am very adamant about sharing with the world, because I think that we could all use a little bit of help in this journey of understanding ourselves so that we can show up as authentically and joyfully as possible in all that we do. And I am extremely excited to talk about today's topic because it is something that has personally affected me for the majority of my life, and is something that I think is vastly underrated in the fact that it doesn't get discussed half as much as it should for the amount of people that it affects. And that is depressive episodes or depression. I have struggled with multiple depressive episodes through the course of my life, and I don't know if I always knew exactly what was going on while it was occurring, and I wish I would have, because I think I would have been able to seek the help I needed to be able to actually overcome it if I would have known, and also felt comfortable and safe to be able to reach out for help. So I'm going to go over the symptoms, some things to keep an eye out for, and then hopefully some resources to be able to help support someone who is struggling with this. So I will share kind of the more psychological terms. I have a degree in psychology, so it's like I will discuss the more textbook criteria for what depression is, but then I'll also share a few things from my own personal story as well, which a lot of them overlap, and that is why I was able to identify it when it was occurring. I was actually in like an abnormal psychology class in college, and I was going through, or I just probably was wrapping up my first major depressive episode, and I was they had the inventory of the quiz that you're supposed to take, the psychologist can use if they have a client that's maybe expressing some depressive symptoms. And I took the quiz. This isn't funny, it's actually really sad, but I took the quiz and it was red flags all around, and I was oh shit, that's what was going on with me. I didn't even recognize it at the time, and I knew that I wasn't well. I knew that things weren't good, to say the least. Things were not smooth and peachy keen, to say the least, but I didn't recognize the gravity of what was going on, and the fact that I really needed some outside assistance to be able to get through it, and that was very much the case. And I did not seek help, and it probably lasted longer than it should have because of that. But I am grateful that I was able to get through to the other side. And I think a lot of people just it becomes such a normal way for them to exist within the world that they forget what it's like to actually, to feel happiness, to feel true joy. And that's what breaks my heart. And that's actually one of the reasons why I wanted to start this podcast, is because I think it's so important for everyone to feel genuinely fulfilled and content with their lives and in themselves. And when you are struggling with depression or are going through a depressive episode, or a wide range of different mental health conditions, it can be really challenging to see outside of that fog. So I hope that this helps you maybe identify it within yourself, or maybe even someone that's in your life that you're worried about, and this kind of gives you the information and the awareness to be able to help them maybe step in, to be able to lend a helping hand, and recognize that it's okay to feel this way. There's nothing wrong with you, and the sun will come up again tomorrow, but at the same time, there's steps that you can take now to be able to work towards creating a more holistic approach to your healing. And that is what I'm strive to do for all of my clients within my coaching business, but that also there's other tools to be able to access as well, and to really find something you align with in order to kind of find that joy and that life that you deserve. So starting off, I'll get off my soapbox now. So starting off with some more textbook changes. Well, essentially if you want to help someone identify depression within someone else or even yourself, it's big shifts. So it's big changes within that person's life. And so that is, maybe they've had extreme weight loss, or they start, they're staying up, they're not really sleeping, they're always awake. You check Instagram and they're always active, or even, in the wee hours of the morning. Someone who maybe, used to maybe have a beer every once in a while is now drinking heavily, is blacking out, having kind of these, again, big changes. And I used to work for Teen Link, which is a youth suicide prevention presentation that is taught all around King County. And they also have a teen helpline, which I was a supervisor for many years. So these are also things that we're teaching out in the county level to be able to help identify depression and suicide. A lot of those can go hand in hand. When someone starts to feel really hopeless and like their pain's never going to end, is usually where they start looking for solutions to be able to end the turmoil that they're experiencing within their souls and within their hearts and within their minds. So a lot of these can overlap, but I'm just going to stick to depressive symptoms, just because that's what this episode's about. But if you are struggling with feelings of suicidal ideation, or are considering taking your own life, I really encourage you to seek out some help, to be able to reach out to 1-800 crisis line, or a teen helpline if you're and you're under 18. They will help people that are older too. It's anonymous, so it kind of crosses a wider boundary of ages, but there are resources out there. There are people that want to help, and they don't need you, they don't need anything from you. They're just there to listen. And I think sometimes we forget the power of just being able to share our story and to actually have someone validate the pain that we're experiencing within ourselves. So the main thing is big changes. So I think that can come up in a lot of different areas of someone's life. So just being, if you know them well, and, a few of these are coming up, 2 to 3 typically is what we kind of lean towards, then that's a time to step in and to be able to help someone out. And I think even within your own life, if you're noticing that these big things that you used to love to do and you just aren't doing it anymore, like you have no energy to do it, voicing feelings of hopelessness, is this ever going to get better? Like, I feel like it's never going to change. I'm never going to be happy. Like, those types of thoughts that are streaming within your mind, even if no one else is hearing them, can be great indications that something deeper is going on. And just to be able to recognize it, to shine light on it, and to be honest with yourself about it, I think is extremely important, because that's going to be that first step in order for you to be able to make that shift, that change, in order to move in the direction of creating a life that you actually enjoy, because it is possible. And I think that that's what was always hardest for me. Sometimes I would just be in this really dark place and it was like, things are never going to get better. This is always going to be. But in actuality, there's always going to be peaks and valleys of life. And it's all about how we address them. How do we tackle them? How do we overcome the darker moments that really builds character and helps us kind of, move through the motions to get through the mud. So big shifts all around. I'm going to specifically state some more like textbook changes, but these, I would say, it can cover a broad range of areas, behavioral patterns, thought patterns within someone's life. But and so don't feel like if it's not one of these things listed that it's not real. So these are a few. I'm reading straight from the psych textbooks, because I want to make sure to cover all of them. Feelings of sadness, emptiness, hopelessness, angry outbursts, irritable, feelings of frustration. Loss of interest or activities that you were doing before. A lot of things I've already talked about. Sleep disturbances, insomnia, or sleeping a lot, sleeping heavily. Sleeping 12, 14 hours a day, every day, never feeling energized, really feeling a lack of energy, lethargy, all of that can be also an indication of depression. Reduced appetites, or weight gain, weight loss. Again, we're always leaning one way or the other one, because everyone has different coping skills. So it's usually once a person or yourself starts leaning really hard on a few coping skills that they actually start to turn unhealthy, and that they're actually more detrimental to our health than useful and constructive for our mental well-being. Slowed thinking or thought patterns or movements, almost like not being able to truly process the things. Memory loss can sometimes be the case as well. Kind of having these moments where you feel stuck, even mentally, I can't process, I can't make decisions. I just like, I'm overwhelmed by everything. Or even hyper focusing, like almost paying attention to nothing else and zeroing in just on the things that like maybe are bringing them joy, or it's like I can't think about anything else because like I'm having a hard enough time just focusing on this alone. And so I'm going to hyper focus on this so I don't have to think about anything else going on in my life. There's also feelings of, unexplained aches and pains. That can be a major thing as well. Or I was going to think about something else, but I think that all around, like, or if someone was really into school and they had really good grades and now suddenly they don't give a shit and they're like fucking around and they don't care at all, can be an indication that something is going on within them internally that they're not really voicing out loud. Or even within yourself, like if you love to have, create art in some way and then you just have completely vanished from that, or your friend groups or socially, or you're really isolating yourself. Or you're constantly busy and you're never like able to even give yourself the time and energy because you're constantly kind of expelling all of that to the world around you, can also be an indication that something more is going on. So those are a few kind of more highlighted items that can be behavioral shifts or thought patterns, changes within someone that's going through a depressive episode. But again, this can be a broad range. It's whatever big change is for you. You know yourself best. So recognize that and respect kind of however you're feeling, honor whatever your truth is. And if you are experiencing any of these things and they are hindering you from really operating on a day-to-day level, I would say to really seek out some help, to reach out to maybe a friend or a family member, let them know that you're feeling this way, give these specific indications of what's going on, these changes that you're experiencing within yourself, and the fact that you really do want to you don't want to feel this way anymore. And I think that's the misconception about people that feel depressed. They're like, well, if you wanted to feel better, you would just change. And I think that that's what's heartbreaking, because sometimes you don't have the energy, you don't have the capacity to do that on your own, and you just can't. And people believe that, you're broken in some way and you're not. And you just have to believe in your worth, to know that you deserve more than that, and that it's possible. And that's going to be what helps get you out of whatever's going on. And reaching out for help, communicating this to the people that surround you, applies accountability. It gives someone there to be a listening ear. And maybe that's finding a counselor. Finding online therapy is so much more prevalent than it's ever been before. To be able to have someone that is specifically trained within this, that can help you work through that, is so beneficial. To be able to just have a network, a support around you, because you don't have to do it on your own. You can have a better life. So I hope this was useful. You can go over, the different symptoms, really just reaching out for help. And from there, I personally, I've been in therapy before, I've had coaches before, I've done a lot of different ways, but what's helped me most is the really established self-care rituals, things that help support me and my well-being. I know what I need to do for myself in order to be balanced. And so I think incorporating those, learning what your coping skills are, how do you handle stress? And what are, a wide range of those, so that you can pull in different things at different times. Because I always practiced yoga, but right after giving birth, I couldn't move. I could barely even walk. And so doing yoga wasn't an option for me at that time. So I need to incorporate different things, meditation, just breathing, just being outside, laying in the grass outside does wonders for me. Grounding, being in nature. There's so many different ways for you to be able to find connection to your heart, to your soul, to be able to open up your mind and your heart to the divine, even just having a connection to God, universe, it's some kind of spiritual force within your life, recognizing that this life experience is so much bigger than what's going on right in front of us, can open us up to possibilities, open us up to joy, to love. And I think that that's the root of it, finding that love within your life and whatever that means for you. If that's listening to music, dancing, being, photography, if it's, spending time with others, volunteering, whatever it is for you, ground into those things. Make them a priority within your life, and do what you need to feel good. Like, I know that sounds so simple, but we so often don't do that. that just giving yourself permission to make yourself a priority, to make your well-being, your self-care, the focal point of when in your life, even if it's for 15 fucking minutes. Like, do something that makes you feel more centered, more grounded, more heart connected, so that you can remember that who you are and what matters, what's important to you. And that way we can serve, we can give more to others when we fill up our own cup. And that's a generic saying that gets said all the time, but it's so fucking true. And what are you doing to fill up your cup? Make that a priority, make that a part of your life, your day in and day out. That even if it's 1 to 2 things, all my self-care rituals take less than an hour a day. But I know that I have to do those in order to serve myself best. And I hope that this kind of opens your eyes to what that means for you. And I will definitely share an episode about establishing self-care rituals and how we can incorporate those into your life from a place of abundance of, we have enough and we just want to keep cultivating the sense of connection, of happiness, of creation, of creativity, of this flow and confidence, so that we can be the best versions of ourselves in all that we do. Thank you so much for joining me, and feel free to plug in any comments, questions that you have about this topic. And yeah, if you are interested in finding a coach or someone who can help work through some of these things in a really constructive way, that is my specialty. So I'm leaning more into the realm of helping and serving other people that are struggling with depression, that are serving, kind of having difficulties with their mental health, in order for them to feel more complete on a mind, body, and spirit level. So visit my website, Coaching with Farah, if you have any questions, or reach out to me directly. Would love to be able to chat more. Namaste. Talk to you soon.